basically would have amounted to, had he reached, which he did, because apparently they met all 12 of their market milestones and all 11 of the 12 economic or financial milestones. When he reached 600 billion in market cap, he would effectively be compensated by way of 55 billion in the shares that he would get in tranches for every milestone that he made. They once hit a trillion dollar market cap. It since came down. He goes to say, okay, I want my compensation package. This guy goes to a Delaware court. I don't know if you'll tell us how business-friendly Delaware courts are. I know it's the #1 state for incorporating. And this judge, by all accounts, because I'm reading left and right, by all accounts, created new law by saying we are basically rescinding this offer. We don't care that the board of directors approved it. We don't care that the shareholders approved it. The board of directors, according to this judge, as a matter of fact, were related to such that basically Elon controlled the company through de facto relationships with the board of directors. The shareholders, even though from what I understand, you'll tell me if I'm wrong, legally did not have to approve the deal, nonetheless approved it, but the judge said, well, they were misled because the relationship that I just found between the directors and Elon Musk was never disclosed to them, so they voted basically in ignorance of law and fact. And so rescind it, you're not getting it. I don't know exactly what he is going to get by way of package, what he's doing now. He's threatened to go to Texas, and apparently Delaware is making it hard to unincorporate or leave Delaware to go elsewhere. How much have I gotten wrong? Is this basically an unprecedented move by the judge?
Yeah, I mean, the Delaware courts are very friendly to business historically, and that's why they are the favored state of incorporation for companies around the world, not only in the United States. And it's generally called the business deference rule that is strictly enforced by the chancery courts there in Delaware. So that basically if they defer to the decision of the board in any context where there's business discretion to be made. And that's why people incorporate. They know that their decisions will be reliably enforced. What this judge did is she scrapped it, said she wasn't going to apply the business deference rule, and instead she was going to consider it like a conflicted controller situation where there's people with conflicts in control of the company, and subject it to a general rule of fairness, I mean, whatever that means. This is what happens when social studies majors take over running businesses. People want to know why communism and socialism and fascism all failed. It's judges like this thinking that they know better than the corporate executives, than the board, than the shareholders, than the customers, than the Wall Street, than everybody else about what was the best compensation to give the best value to Tesla's stock. Because the thing most people looking at the case thought the case had no credibility in, aside from the business deference rule that's supposed to be applied in this instance, is that the shareholders made tons of money on this deal. I mean, they didn't lose. What are the damages? There are none. There are none. Their stock went sky high because of this deal. It's one of the things, by the way, she completely ignores. This deal really wasn't so much to incentivize Elon as it was to convince shareholders that Elon was going to be focused on Tesla. Mm-hmm. And it worked. It worked tremendously. He hit every single metric. And because people believed he was incentivized to hit those metrics, they invested in Tesla, driving up Tesla's stock. So it became one of those self-fulfilling phenomena. She totally ignores that this was one of the most successful CEO compensation deals ever done, entirely incentive-driven, in which Elon didn't make money unless the shareholders made lots and lots and lots of money. So it's preposterous to subject this to a fairness rule, and the fairness interpretation was absurd and asinine. What this really reveals is what Musk has been figuring out, the political weaponization of our entire legal system. He's right. If you're in Delaware, get out. Axios was busy trying to cover. Say, this is only about Musk. We talked to important corporate lawyers, and they all agreed you can stay in Delaware. They're lying to you. Axios is lying to you. Those corporate whores are lying to you. They're willing to sell out their own client to serve their own political interests. This is a lefty Biden connected judge who was presiding. She never should have been on the Chancery Court to begin with, has no business there, has no understanding of business. You know, when you start out, when you're making little sarcastic comments through your opinion, you're a business judge in a Chancery Court?
She was like, she made it sound like she was describing a Star Wars episode, like writing that, there was a lot of hyperbolic, judgmental rhetoric. And then there was rhetoric
Look at how rich he is. Oh my God. What are you doing on the Chancery Court of Delaware? You have no business being there. You're a disgrace. You're a disgrace. This opinion was a disgrace. And it was a damning opinion, but what it is Musk figured it out. Don't incorporate in Delaware. Don't trust Delaware. The Delaware courts have now been Bidenized, which is kind of like being sodomized for him when it comes to integrity, and very undesirable experience. And so that's the reality of it. It's now the Tesla will appeal it. Who knows what the Delaware High Supreme Court will do? Because I mean, this should be shocking. This should be horrifying. This should be terrifying to the state that profits so much from all the incorporating in their state. But who knows whether they'll figure that out. I mean, it's like the Biden administration and the EU that thought, oh, we'll sanction Russia and nobody around the world will think twice about investing in the West. And the first thing they did was try to figure out a new currency system that wasn't connected to the dollar and all around the globe. It was like that backfired terribly. But that's how clueless these people are. They live in their own little parochial, provincial worlds. And she would have never issued this opinion, but for the fact that Elon is adverse to her pal, Joe Biden. And that's what we're getting, people who now want to govern companies, govern schools, govern everything. This is the professional managerial class wanting to govern all of our lives at every level, whether it's the Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture that wants to tell Amos Miller how to farm and tell us how to eat, or it's this judge telling Tesla how to run its business. Because it's not like they're the most successful business in the last 20 years, right? It's not like they're one of the top 10 most capitalized companies to the shock of a bunch of people who've been short selling them for a decade, right? I mean, it's a ludicrous ruling, and it makes a mockery of the Delaware courts that are now political, partisan hack courts. It shows why social studies majors type should never be on a business bench. And it shows the degree to which the Biden administration will target and harass its political opponents.
One of the most shocking things in my mind of the decision is he owned 22%. So he was effectively, through his connections to the board, a controlling shareholder. And I'm like, whether he owns 1% or 70%, the benefit that he brought to the other shareholders is undeniable. It's measurable. I bought
indisputable. People have got fabulously rich betting on Elon Musk, and this deal helped make sure that happened.
In fairness to the judge, to Steelman, what she said, she's like, well, was it really necessary? Was the deal really necessary for this outcome? Like, it could have been anybody. It could have been Joe Schmo. It could have been Viva Fry's CEO. It didn't need to be Elon. He didn't talk about how much time he was going to have to put into the company. This is how people starve to death under socialist regimes. You get idiot judges who have no idea what they're doing, and they run businesses into the ground with terrible consequences.
Right. That's exactly what it is. It's a terrifying sign. It's just like what they're trying to do to Trump in New York. It's the courts trying to run businesses, take over businesses. They want complete control, state control at every single level. Just like they want to control what Amos Miller is allowed to put in his own fridge, what you're allowed to put in your own fridge. I mean, it's the same logic. It's about complete, absolute, total state control with no option and if you're a dissident from the regime, it doesn't matter if you're a billionaire. It doesn't matter if you're the richest man in the world. It doesn't matter if you're the former president of the United States. They're going to come after you.